Welcome to the American Rambler with your host, Paul Grafton. Okay, today we are talking about this article about men that are seem to be missing from the workforce. Less American men want to work than ever before. Well, I think there are some issues uh, to that. I think men are working, but they are they are quietly doing it. Okay, but it says here it hasn't been like this since the 1950s. In the 1950s, it was traditional and common for the man to go out to work and the women to stay home to look after the children and house. Around 97% of men were part of the workforce in 1950, as it was seen as the man's responsibility to provide for his family. Well, I got news for you, it still is. This meant going out to work to earn the money needed to look after their wants and needs. I don't think it was to look after their wants and needs as much as it was to look after their family's wants and needs. Okay. Fewer men want to work. I really do. And you'll find that less American men are wanting to work than ever before. Okay. While 97% of men were working in the 1950s, uh, with 96% being between ages of 25 and 54, in full-time or part-time jobs, the number has moved down to 86% in recent years. This had led to uh, many reasons. Oh, and of course, this article was written by Beth Moore, and of course, a woman. Low income men are most affected. Those who are said to be affected by not being in the workforce are those from low income backgrounds, as they are less likely to have received an education beyond high school. Yeah, why is that? Many jobs, especially those that offer attractive pay and benefits, often require people to have a college degree or even go to graduate school. These are something that these men simply do not have. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Where the money's really at is in the trades. It is not in the college. It is not, you know, maybe one out of 100 will make that 6 year transition. You're either going to be middle class or lower middle class, depending on whether you went to state school or you spend 100,000 per year on expensive Ivy League. Okay. Recession bring down the workforce rate. One reason there are fewer men in the workforce is recession. For example, male employment went from 88 to 80% during the Great Recession. Yeah, it was nicknamed the man session because construction jobs disappeared when they pulled the rug out from under the construction because labor and housing got too high. So, with California's plan to offer 150,000, or or Kamila's plan to offer 25,000 to new home buyers, that's going to leave us with uh, a load of debt and empty houses. More recently, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused similar to drop to just 78%. While this rate has been going back up to 86% in just a matter of years, it's still uh, nowhere near the levels of the 1950s. Yeah, because we do not need to provide for what I consider leeches. Okay, jobs aren't meeting men's needs. Everyone has a preferences when it comes to looking for jobs, and many jobs aren't even meeting the needs of men, which is why they are out of work. This all comes down to things such as pay, especially with the rising cost of everything: job location, tasks involved, number of hours available, the types of jobs available, and the working environment. Okay. One of the issues that men and women are having is that around 40% of employers are having a bias against Gen Z workers, which means they're not hiring them and leaving this generation out of work. Okay. Employers have admitted to doing this due to Gen Z's lack of experience in education, which feel they make them less employable. However, as they cannot get and placement that will give them experience, this generation constantly struggles to find jobs that will give them experience, but employers do not want to give them jobs to get that experience. Well, do you know how you get those? You find a charity that you support and you ask to volunteer. Yeah, this is such a minority few. It's not like, maybe it's less than 1/2%. In somewhat surprising turn of events, women are now supporting men with their incomes with this extra safety net. Men have less reason to rush into the world of work. Okay, so why is it unpaid labor if a woman does it, but it's not work if a man does it? This means that if a man has lost his job, regardless of the reason, he at least has this safety net of being able to rely on his wife or girlfriend's income isn't as much as a rush to find a new job. I am sorry, this is funny. It's like, have you seen the dating market today and the ridiculous demands women have placed on men? Do you really think there is a majority of women out there actually supporting men? I know I'm going to get the one say, "Oh, I support my man." I doubt that. You know, they're saying it just to say it. Most men choose not to work because they have caregiving responsibility. So, caregiving responsibility is not work if a man does it, but it is work if a woman does it. In some cases, it's because they have children and their partners are returning to work, leaving the men at home to look after the kids. Other reasons are due to looking after elderly relatives with an ever increasing aging up population, and with it being expensive to pay for care for their relatives, many men are choosing to look after them on their own to try to save money. Yeah, yeah. See, here are the two things. Men want remote work. Yeah. I also think that a lot of men are working the underground economy, either taking bitcoins or cash. And because why do you want to contribute to a system that hates men? And two, the system takes their money to support a greater number of people who are uh, getting paid to look after their own children. One of the few benefits of the COVID 19 pandemic was the remote working was introduced nationwide on a much larger scale than ever before, meaning many men could enjoy working from the comfort of their homes without engaging in the daily commute. Yeah, why not? You don't need to own a car anymore. That saves you a lot of money. You don't have to interact with people that like to start office gossip. We know that actually belongs to a certain group of people. You have a less chance of um, being accused of things. The return to normal remote working is not much of an option as before, with many companies forcing workers back into the office. Many men who are out of work don't want a job unless it offers remote working, which is why many are still unemployed. Like I said, I think there are a lot of men out there who are working in the underground economy or the gig economy, and they are just not contributing to the office. The jobs where women are most likely to work, such as healthcare, education, and administration roles, are the ones with the most openings, but they are putting men off from applying for them. This is because many men want to work in a role seen as manly, while others simply lack the skills and education needed in work these areas and cannot get employment in them. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I, well, one, I live overseas, and when I first started my teaching career, I met more men overseas teaching because it offers a safer environment for men. At the same time, it gives them more disposable income than if they lived in the United States. Yes, there are some countries like Thailand that would have have issues. Thailand, Cambodia, many of the southeastern nations, but places like China, Taiwan, and Saudi Arabia, there would be issues. Okay, access to education should be improved. Not only access to education should be improved, education should be improved. You don't need to spend the first 2 years of your university having to relearn uh, what your high school teachers poorly taught you. One of the main issues many find is their lack of education prevents them from finding a job. As a result, it has been suggested that access to education needs to improve to men's chances of getting work. Other things that can be improved include helping those wanting to find work, helping with childcare and caring for elderly relatives, offering paid leave, and increasing the tax subsidies that those on low incomes receive so they have more money to live on. I can go for that. Okay, what do you think should be done to help men? Okay, to re enter the workforce, or are they better off with the underground and the gig economy? Leave your comments below. This is Paul Grafton signing off.